Try again. Once more to Leopard Street, to the cellar. This one, I'm doing a little bit more work on the turntable. I'm going to refit the motor. We're going to get that tested. We're going to see how that goes. And my little furry helper has been down here again. So, yeah, we'll just have a little look at what she was getting up to first, because she's quite ingenious. Stick around. This is Leopard Street. Here we can see I have been joined in the cellar. I believe, as the saying goes, Euston, we have a problem. Oi! Cat! As you can tell, is completely ignoring me and just exploring. This is what you get when the weather gets quite warm. The cellar is lovely down here. And as such, I've been joined. She spent half of yesterday asleep on the floor down here, and today she's decided to be slightly braver and go and visit the high street by the look of it currently. Oi! Smudge! What are you... Flipping kitten. Everything's switched off at the minute, so there's a limit to how much damage she can do to things that are moving, but yeah. A lot of that's not particularly good to stand on, because it ain't going to take your weight. No, I see, you found a way through, have you? Yeah. You're not really meant to be on there, are you? Hmm? It's you. Wait. Yeah. Cat. Here, pencil sharpener. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cat. Never mind. Well, I guess it had to happen at some point. There's a cat up here somewhere. Oi, stripy thing. Come on, out. Yeah, she's I heard a jump, and she's gone from on here to up there. Yeah. This is going to be a somewhat messy cat, I feel, at the end of this. I'll see what state she's in when she gets out. Come on. Come here, puss. Wherever you are. Come on. Out you come. Bet you're filthy now, aren't you? Yeah. Yes. Come on. Out. Up there was never really designed for a cat. That's the thing. No. Shift some of this stuff. Give you a landing pad. Come on. Down here. Bet you're filthy now, aren't you? Yes. You're not supposed to be up there, are you? Yeah, hello. So, next bits. Posters turned up. Now I have this. This is the slip ring. What this is, I'll have to do a diagram at some point. This is 4 stacked metal rings. If you think a motor in a loco, you've got the commutator, which has got brushes on either side, but it's split. If you think of a commutator that was solid, so instead of having it split in rings, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 going down the length of the thing, each of which has its own brush or brushes. I don't know how they go. I think, but this looks like it's 2 on one side, 2 on the other. So the center bit can rotate freely, but the 2 orange wires are always connected. So I can use 2 of the wires on this to carry the track power. Yes, the wires are a little bit thin. It'll do the job. It's over a short distance. I'll need to trim these off, put a DuPont female connector on it, and then it's going to go there somewhere, and the wires will come out and plug into that. That'll carry the track power. Now that's 22mm in diameter. Frustratingly, these wires come right out the bottom rather than slightly out the sides. Can live with that. 7mm shaft in the middle. I need to print a sleeve for in there that'll hold a 4mm shaft to go to the table. It doesn't actually matter if the center bit is connected to the table properly. If these wires come outside, they will rotate and they'll turn this middle bit. It could actually be free rotating. However, I want to use this as the bearing to center the table. So I need to mount it in here. Yeah. Now I want it reasonably flush with this deck. So the top level of this reasonably flush with this. So I need a hole through there. Well, I have this 22mm hole saw. Not a half saw, this is a whole one. So I need to push this in here with a drill and turn it slowly to cut it. Now the problem is, as you can see, this moves around quite a bit because the hole in the middle is bigger than the drill bit. So yeah. Ideally, I'll have a piece of wood or something that this was going to go through, that I could hold in place. Ideally clamp it in place, but there's no way to clamp anything on this. I had hoped to do this from the other side using a 24mm hole saw, but that's 22. There is a 24mm hole in the plywood, but it isn't centered, so I couldn't actually use that anyway. So I'm going to go set a drill up. I'm going to try and do this. Worst case, I make the hole a bit lopsided, and then what I'm going to have to do is print a little piece that'll sit over the top of this with a 22mm hole that can sit in. But I'm going to try this way first. So I'm going to go set the drill up. I should be back. Moment of truth. Drill. Now I've got to hold this as vertically as I can and as firmly as I can. Which means holding it this way, and try and center this. See how this goes. Well, it's smoothing the surface off. I suspect taking this steady is the way to do it, however. That lovely smell of burnt plastic, because obviously this will start to melt the plastic. Yeah, right. So what I'm going to have to do is try and smooth this bit off a little bit more. There's still some raised up bits from where the previous ring was glued on it. I can get rid of most of those, however. That. A little bit more here. Maybe. Let's try again. It's an awkward position, this. I need to... It rotates quite freely normally. That vibrating is it bouncing around on the surface. Yeah, I'm going to need to find something to hold that with. Does that stick through far enough? It does. Right, if I can find a suitable block of wood, I might be able to hold that. So, I'm going to go and see what I've got in my blocks of wood pile. And the stripy cat is cleared off, thankfully, because yes, she's found a lovely new game and place to stand. Ah, right, block of wood. This should hopefully help. And what I'm going to do is a piece of 2-inch square, well, not quite 2-inch square, but a piece of wood anyway. So, piece of wood. Bloody cables all over the floor again. Let's just remove some of these little wires. Right, just removing a USB lead that has decided it wants to self-identify as wrapped around my foot, which I don't particularly want. Right, what I'm going to do is drill a hole into this bit of wood. It doesn't have to be centered, particularly. It does have to be reasonably level. Right. Purpose of that is I can hold this under here. I can get the end of the drill bit into that. I can use that to hold where I want it. Hopefully. Yeah, it's working a lot better. Right. Lift that out. See how that's going. Well, we'll find out how well centered that is later. It's like I say, if that needs to be goggles off. Yes. We shall see. Hopefully that'll work. Now, the question is, does this fit into the hole? Yeah. Wires down there, wires down there, wires down there. Yeah. Not quite. It's going to need filing. But that actually, I think, is about right. I don't think it is centered, however. Just because I've got parts, it's cut into some of the holes on one side, but not on the other. So I suspect this is going to need a little bit more work. Like I say, worst case is I'll drill the hole to be a little bit larger. I can just print a collar so I can center it. Let's give this another little go. There's over there. That. Yeah, it said it was 22mm. Right, let's put this in. Just rotate it a little more. See if that helps. Because the outside of this is a little bit coarse. And because it's a little bit coarse, basically I can use it as a file. So let's try that. There we go. So that goes in there. That's slightly loose fitting. Slightly loose fitting might be for the best. I may end up, I say, printing a little collar. What I can now do is actually print one with a bigger bit, and I can stick it, glue it onto the outside edge of that. And I can then use that to hold that in place. Yeah, it's going to need, it's not centered right. It's going to need moving slightly, so I'm going to have to do that with the collar. What I can then do, make that a little bit larger, is stick it down using the bridge to center it, because this has got a little bit of give in it, but not much. I can work out exactly where that needs to be. But progress, bit removed. I'm going to get on with that. Okay, a little bit later. Table's in. I put the wheels back on it. Now, as you can see, it moves around a little bit. It's now got a shaft, which is 4mm steel. that's push fitted currently. So that's that. I've taken the slip rings and I've added some connectors to them. I'll just put them together for now. I went with the DuPont style, basically because that's what I've used on the table deck. The one for the table deck is a 4-port, and there's a pair of 2 ports on here. Reasoning is I'm going to basically only use 2 of them, but I wanted to terminate the others. I've gone with the DuPont style on here. I was going to use a JST. I went with these because I can plug these into breadboard, which means when I'm testing it, I can use breadboard. This hole is a 7mm hole. So I've 3D printed a little thing, and that little thing fits onto here. It's a snug fit. It goes on there as a collar. I just need to get it rotated right because it's got a flat bit on one side, which corresponds with where the wires come out on this. This can then, I decided I was going to use brown and thingy for this, so that plugs in, which is a snug fit. This comes over here and it goes on here, like so. And what I can now do is rotate it, and yes, all right, the wires are hanging down. They will go in here like that. A bit of tape, a bit of hot glue, and maybe even just a little piece of plastic going across there just to hold them in. Well, that spins. And that fits into the hole, which is good. Still moves. The hole's a little bit big and it's not quite in the right place. It's not centered properly, but I need to be able to center that. And I was thinking, how the hell can I center that? I was going to print, well, I did print, it doesn't quite fit, a plate that fits around that, which fits in this hole, and it can move, but then I could glue it in. I don't really want to glue it in. It occurred to me, I've got the motor. Now this was screwed to the bottom of the turntable deck. I've removed it because I need to drill holes in the deck. But that was centered. So if I stick that back underneath, what I can do, feed the wires through the side there. That can sit in there. That'll be centered. So to do that, I've got to take this board off again. He's moving that out of the way, which I'm going to do in a minute. I'm going to screw the motor back in place. The deck isn't going to be screwed in place. Now, if this slip ring here spins a little bit, I'm not actually that bothered. I'm going to bring the wires out to the side. But that's fine. Now, what we've actually got, I've done a drawing. So if I hold this here, this is the turntable rails. These are the slip rings. What they are, it's a metal ring. It's round, goes all the way round. It's got a wire that connects to it, usually on the inside somewhere. And that is fixed to the shaft. That rotates. And it's got a little brush that touches against it. Some of them, the ring is fixed. The shaft has got the little brush and it rotates. Doesn't matter which way around it is. But it's a way of maintaining power in a low friction way. I mean, that's not turning the motor, by the way. That's just sitting in the motor's coupling. I've not tightened that up. But that is pretty free spinning. That's the coupling is rotating. Sorry, not the coupling, the slip ring. And that's it. And that's feeds in. I'm going to need to put in a reversing relay. Controller will have to drive that. Controller drives the motor. There's a little sensor. And the thing gets its instructions over Wi-Fi. So, next step. I'm going to take the board off. I'm going to fit the motor again. Then I'm going to bring it back in. I'll put it back in. Then we'll be back. We'll see if I can get it centered properly. Back in a mo. Okay. Board out. Board back in. Turntable installed. it turns. This has the motor underneath. It is now connected to the motor, which is why it doesn't want to come out. There is a slight flaw. I think, for whatever reason, the hole mounting in the center of the table isn't quite square, because that's flat, that's got a step. I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably filing these rails slightly, because at the moment, if I line my little wagon up, line that up properly. Probably if I line it, would help if I did actually line it up properly. So try that. Roll on quite nicely. Spin round this end. There's quite a step. I mean, to the point the coupling's actually slightly catching. So, perfect is the enemy of good enough, as they say. Now, the next thing to do is test it. So, to do that, I have the board here, and I'm going to plug this in, which is the motor, which is under here somewhere. Just work out which way round it goes. Doing this blind, but it's on the back of the motor, so I can't actually see what I'm doing anyway. And besides, seeing what I'm doing has never really been shown to do a lot. Now, the problem I've got is I have actually created some leads for this. They're too short. So I'm going to have to hook this board up now. I have to put it underneath in order to actually make this work. So what I'm going to do is find some spare DuPont leads. For now, I only need 3, although I am going to get enough to connect the yeah. I can't actually connect the track power to anything yet, because I don't have the reversing relay set up. So yeah, 3 of these should do for now. So what I'm going to need to do is connect this thing over here. Is going to go, I've got a little block. I'm going to connect. Ground is going to have to be shared. So I'm going to go one in there is going to be ground. No, make that 12 volt. 12 volt to the board's 12 volt. I'm going to go 5 volt there to the 5 volt input pin on the ESP32. I'm going to connect ground just to ground. That becomes ground for everything. I do need another wire because I've got to connect the thing driver board has also got to be connected to ground. So I need to hunt around here so I can find another wire. I did have loads. Here's a few. I did have loads of these things. So right, I've got the appropriate colours for what I use for things. So I'm going to go 5 volts to 5 volts. That to that, and then I can use this blue one here. Can do nicely as ground to ground. So if I now connect that, which, like I say, I'm going to have to do down here, so my apologies on this. I just need to fit them, get this dangling down. This rather unfortunately, yeah, I'm going to have this. Work out where I'm going to put the antenna. I'm going to have it dangling off the edge of the board, rather unfortunately. So, there is a slightly easier way. I'm going to remove the connector block, and I'm going to screw things into the connector block down here, because it's much easier to just hold the connector block than hold everything. So that's that. I have ground as the middle one, because you do have to get these the right way around. If you don't, things go bang. You can obviously stick diodes in to protect things, but I'm not doing that just yet. so that's that block. While I'm at it, I'm going to connect the DCC wires. These aren't, I mean, they're not going to do anything just yet. I'm connecting them though because I don't want live DCC wires dangling, just in case they decide they're going to go, ooh, that looks interesting. I'm going to touch that and see what happens. Because what happens is usually bang. So this can come down here. I'll plug that back into there. Just make sure I've got that lined up correctly. Now this has got the same code I ran the other day when I just first tested the motor. Let's say the only difference is, in theory, I've added the Wi-Fi code, but in practice that's not working currently. So doesn't seem to matter. Right, that's going to go there. I'm now going to switch things on. In theory, this should start moving. So, well, it'll move or smoke will come out. So if I go and turn the layout on, I haven't got anything obviously short-circuiting things. I'm not powering the track up, so it should be all right. I just need to switch this on and have a little look. That one. Okay, that's not sounding right. So I'm going to turn that off. Something there is obviously not correct. See what we got. Right. Well, that's still turning. Okay, so this is where the inability to have this on top of the desk and look at it is going to be somewhat annoying. Right. So I have 12 volts, ground. I mean, it obviously switched on because this thing started buzzing. What it didn't do was start turning. But noted it started to buzz and then it stopped. So I have 5 volts, which seem to connect. I have 12 volts, which seem to connect. I'm starting to wish I'd made these wires a little bit longer because, can I get that on there? I can, just. Very, very just. That can sit there. Right. What I don't have is an easy way of turning this on and off from over here. Try that again. That's not healthy. Nope. Oh no, it is turning. Slowly. Right, I suspect I know what's happened. Turn it off. I am suspecting, since that did start trying to turn, that I have a physical connection loose somewhere. So I'm going to investigate that using an Allen key. Yeah, yep. That makes sense. That's tight. What I suspect is happening is the shaft in the bottom of this is rotating. So what I'm going to do is lift that off. I'm going to see whether this bit in the middle here is going to rotate, yes or no. And that's also going to mean unplugging the deck so this bit of wire can spin round. That should provide me with a good clue, because if it turns, that bit of wire will move. I suspect literally what's happened is it's not stuck in there. I'm going to have to... I was hoping it would work before I had to glue it. So never mind. Let's have a little go with this again. Is that spinning? That seems to be jammed solid for some reason, so I need to have a play with that again. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the problem with the power switch being the other side of the room. So that's turning, but it's extremely stiff, which it shouldn't be. That should be turning very, very freely. Let me just try. Let's see. That one. Ooh. Ha. It's turning on part of its cycle, but not all of it. I'm just trying to slacken that. Right, that comes out. Now that is spinning quite freely. I'm going to turn it on again and see if the motor moves. Even though it's now not connected to anything, it should be able to turn quite freely. Yet we shall see as I crawl over the room again. Have a look and see what this is doing. Right. For whatever reason, the motor is not rotating properly. Back and forth again. Back and forth again. So, something, somewhere, is incorrect. That completely, just keep it out of the way. Motor is turning. Something isn't right. I'm going to change the software on this to go back to exactly what I had on the desk, and I'm going to see if that helps. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, back. It's working, sort of. It keeps stalling. The stall is because the wire, the spindle spinning in the base of the turntable. But when it turns, and it turns quite quietly, which I'm quite pleased with. So I'll line it up with that, see if it'll spin back around to that position. Yeah, it won't. There's a rail here I need to file as well. But okay, semi-working turntable. I'm going to unplug that before it breaks itself. So that is not powered from the layout. That is powered from the original supplies I had. So what I need to do is file that rail slightly. See whether it's this one sticking out. It might be the one on the table sticking out a little. Right. I need to go that way with this Allen key. Ooh. Loosen that. So the deck can lift. So the deck comes off that. This bit here, I suspect I need to file this hole a little bit more as well, just to give the whole thing a little bit of flexibility. It is actually on a flexible coupler of sorts. There we are, it's coming out. There we are. And obviously those wires aren't connected to anything yet. So I think what I need to do is take this out of here. That needs to be araldited into there because, well, basically you can twist it by hand. It goes in all the way, but you can twist it by hand. So I need to araldite that in, modify it to go in as far as it'll go. This little slip ring thing on here doesn't need to be stuck in place. I'm just going to remove it. It doesn't really matter because the thing itself is free rotating. So yeah, unplug that. So that's going to go on there. Now that is going to take overnight to cure properly. So I'm not going to be able to do anything else with this turntable tonight. So that's probably it for this video. It's getting there. The key bit is when it turns, it's quiet. I also obviously have to change the speed because that's spinning way too fast. I need to halve that, quarter that. That won't really be a problem. That's a very simple change to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this araldited, and I'll be back in the next video. So the turntable saga continues. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, likes, comments, shares, etc. are more than welcome. Yes, Kelly, I'm aware that a lot of the turntables on a lot of layouts, and you do see it actually on quite a lot of layouts, have one track that comes in, goes over the turntable, you get a little stub light. It basically looks like this sort of arrangement. And that's it. Trains go in, turn that. Some people have got a couple of turntable roads. A lot of actual depots do have multiple entry and exit roads. For example, I think the old Euston station did. You'd come in on one and there'd be a coaling tower, but you could come in or out on the other and bypass the coaling tower. So that was how that worked. I've seen places where there are multiple, so there could be a couple of roads coming in, a couple going out. It sort of depended where they were going. I'm going to get it working. I am going to get this to work. Anyway, but that's it for this video. So, likes, comments, shares, more than welcome. Yeah, Smudge's antics earlier. I think I'm going to need a few more bits of plywood and some screws to try and stop the little sod getting where she's getting. But with that, enjoy the rest of your week. And thank you very much and goodbye.